What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is iRate Reviews, the show where I go over a comic book, its art, its story, give you my impressions, and let you know whether it's something to go back to the shop for or not. We're going to be talking about Wonder Woman number 11. So Wonder Woman number 11 is important because it's the conclusion of the Lies story arc. This is the arc that's been taking place in modern day and is stretched over issues 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and now issue number 11. To begin this book, we're actually going to be working with Etta Candy as well as Wonder Woman in kind of dueling storylines. So while we see that Wonder Woman is no longer on the radar as Etta's talking to her counterpart at the agency that they work for, she's kind of like leaving her friend alone while the friend, her superior, is taking the remains of the god that they had just defeated inside of like a little planted pot kind of thing. But Etta, being the suspicious person that she is, sticks around a little bit and ultimately notices the giant glowing light from this lady's car. So it's like, okay, I am obviously some sort of android or some sort of secret machine agent or something like that. So obviously she's suspicious of that and starts tracking this person down. We then double back over to Wonder Woman on Themyscira, where her mother and the rest of the Amazons are kind of celebrating around this dinner table aspect. And then you get this situation where Steve and Wonder Woman, they're like, okay, this doesn't quite necessarily fit with what I expected. Because the first thing that you notice is that Steve Trevor can understand everything that anybody says. And if you've been reading along with the Wonder Woman Year 1 storyline, which doesn't necessarily play a huge part until right about now, you'd realize that unless Barbara Minerva's there, nobody was able to understand Diana at all. They speak a completely different dialect relative to anything. But all these people, they're like English right now, so that's crazy. And then he goes to try and find this priestess, and he can't find her. He's being kind of thwarted by these various Amazons, and that's why Wonder Woman's mom's like, hey, you got to keep track of your dude, it's probably going to anger the rest of the Amazons if you just let him wander around freely. So Wonder Woman tracks him down, and they both kind of compare notes on this situation. Steve Trevor's like, hey, your mom doesn't have the same face, nobody looks the same, the architecture is completely different from when I was here. This doesn't feel like Themyscira. This is not your home. And then Wonder Woman is starting to be like, well, I can't remember these things, I can't remember this, and you notice there's blood kind of coming down her arm, and she releases her silver bracers, and then all of a sudden, this earth-shattering revelation hits her. Literally, the panel is a shattering of her mind, and she realizes one final fact. We're going to hold off on that because Etta's kind of facing off with Dr. Veronica Cale and she's sicking her dogs on it, but ultimately that's going to be that dueling part of the storyline. I'm just messing with you guys. The shattering fact is that Wonder Woman has never been home. Wonder Woman has never been back to Themyscira ever since her first exile. That was her cost of going to man's world. She was never allowed to come back. And that has just been upheld entirely. So there is some serious power at work here to kind of keep this Amazonian from her home of Themyscira. That's the best thing ever. To be honest with you, like if we're talking about story, we'll hold off on story for a second because the art from Liam Sharp is stellar as always. He's been doing a great job with this book. Can't really wait to see where the next one goes. But okay, now we're going to go back to the story. This is really just Greg Rucka saying, you know what, I'm telling the definitive Wonder Woman tale. This is her story, and it's going to be unparalleled. It's going to be the thing that everybody's going to reference for years to come. And that is what's going on right now. He basically just wiped the continuity of every interaction that Wonder Woman has ever had on Themyscira in the history of the DC Universe. Like, that was just mic drop. That was like a really huge thing that he just did in this Wonder Woman storyline. I don't necessarily know if it's in the quest for unification of the personification of Wonder Woman, like trying to tell a very fluid backstory, making sure that all the continuity kind of fits, or if it's Greg Rucka just being like, yeah, no, this is what I'm going to do, and just getting all amped on basically cleaning the slate of Wonder Woman, making her his own. I don't necessarily know what his motivations are, but I can tell you that this is going to have serious repercussions as things move forward in the Wonder Woman book, and I can't wait to see where those go. It definitely sets the stage for how Wonder Woman's going to be portrayed going forward. I can't wait to see how Year 1 kind of concludes as well, because these stories are still running very parallel, and you can kind of get like a little bit of crossover, you get a little bit of touching on each and every one of them, but it's really all about how this Year 1 storyline kind of goes along and how it runs parallel to the Lies and now the next story arc that's going to be coming up. Definitely a recommended book. Wonder Woman has just been stellar. I can't recommend it enough. Definitely go grab it if you haven't had a chance. So that's my review of Wonder Woman number 11, but I want to know what you guys thought too, so hit me up in the comments down below and we can have that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe right there to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.